Hello, good everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so now the programming exam is already done. You have only last and some exam. So we have planned three sessions this week. So this is the first revision session and to next revision session to just recap all the things which we have already learned in the previous 12 weeks. So now the syllabus for the intern will be from mainly week 3 to week 11. Okay. So no content in week 12. So yeah, week 3 to week 11 with approx equal weightage. Okay. So just revise all the things from week 3 onwards. And the questions, total questions will be approx 25 something. Okay. Exam. So yeah, pattern will be same as a quiz one. Okay, so MCQ, MSQ, and all type of questions will also be like some code will be given, some output will be asked, some code based questions will be there, some logic based, and some mainly side theoretical. Okay, so similar to your graded assignments or practice assignments which you have seen in the course. Okay, we'll recap as you have already done much practice. If you will see this content now, then from starting now you will see these fine easy actually because now you have done too much coding in the later topic, difficult topic. So we will start from this week 3 to week 5. We will try to cover all the things. If you have any question, if you have query in between, you can ask in any topic. Okay, or if you have any other topic, you can also ask. Okay, so let me share my screen. Any question before starting the session? Okay, sir. Okay, so as we have these notes and that notes are available in your supplementary content. So we are using all these and we will discuss the mock question also, which is related to the week 3 to week 5 or 6. In the mock, I hope you know that we have released the mock paper for the interim exam. That in your so just see this that and also try to solve that. That deadline is I think Saturday, next Saturday, 2 p.m. So try to complete without looking the answer anywhere. Okay. We will discuss during the session also, but submit by your own first and see what is your writing. Okay, so this is week 3 notes. First, we will recap the notes and then we will try to solve the questions of the mock. Okay, so as week 3 is just basic about the programming, and here we discussed about the very basics of the program, like any programming language we start. So like what are the keyword, what are variable, data type, expression, operators. All these things are like a syntax of what we will just use to write a program. So that some rules or some specific guidelines is there for every programming language, so that we should understand. So that we are discussing in week 3. Okay, so now as we write always this preprocessor directive all in the programming language, now you know that we this is the first step actually which is started before execution of program. So this is preprocessor directive, and this is actually pre-process before compilation process. So what we are including, so some library code we are including in your code. So if you are writing this include stdio.h, so that means we are including some additional code into our program. Okay, so that contains some definition of the functions, and that function we are using in our program. So because of that, we are including this library in our program. Similarly, define something. Okay, so we want to define some this macros where we have just mentioned this pi, and this value will be replaced at any point. If we will write this pi in our program, that will be replaced by this value. Okay, so as you have seen this type of program in the week 11 content macros. So that actually is the pre-process part for each program before writing in the main logic. So next thing is the global declaration. So global declaration is the declare the variables which we want to use out of all functions. So okay, so that is called as a global. So that we want to access, so variable that we want to access from all the function which we have defined in our program, including main. So that is global variable and similar to function. So we also define the function globally. So that can be called from any place in our program. So that is global declaration. If we want to access any variable from each any function, so that we will actually declare as a global. And now next thing is the main function. So this is just like a entry point of the each program. So main function where our actually main execution start, main program, our instruction execution will be start from this point. And from this point we can call another function which we have defined globally, and we can do in any way. Okay, flow we can control basically. So main is the function that is entry point for the execution. Okay, so now each for instruction we use this statement, expression, or control statement, loop, this type of statement, and we combine all these instruction, and that is called as a simple program. So program is just like a instructions. And every language also contain this comments. So comments we should know. This is if we want to write a single line comment, we use this double slash. If we want to use a multi-line comment, so we use this approach, comment asterisk and then asterisk comment. Okay, so in between we can write any line of comments. Return statement, yeah, that is one that mainly command for to return something to the program actually. Okay, so from one function to the any program part, we can return some value or something to the same program from another function. So that is one statement which is specified a value returned by any function, okay, to the program. So now you can see this add function is mentioned, and add function is returning some value. Okay, so that is a plus b, and it is taking some input. Okay, so it is taking integer a, integer b, two input it is reading, and it is returning this something. Okay, and then main function is not completed here. Suppose this is the example. Okay, so where you can see we call this function add function. Add function is defined here, and the definition. So this is just like a declaration. This is declaration and this is definition. So both are the different things. Declaration, we are just declaring the function name, input parameters, type of return, everything. But definition also contain the internal body instructions. Okay, so what instructions we are executing inside the function. So that function will be called and it will return something, and that return value will be replaced at this part. Okay, so anything it will return, so that value will replace this part. So that value will be assigned to result, and our execution will continue from this point. So this is the simple return statement. So this is the basic structure of a program. We have already seen many times now. Keywords are the main words that is actually reserved for the programming language. Okay, so that have some meaning in the programming language, that is called as a keyword. So you can see there are lots of words.
Can you recall return
Hello?
word? Yes, sir. Can you recall just a returns?
A return statement.
Yes, sir.
So return statement is used in the function to return something to the program. Okay, so return statement, you can see main function. Here we are using some return, and this is our function, user defined function. So that is returning something. But in main function, this return value actually is for operating system. So that OS, we are running this program and at any OS. So this return 0 means that is the indication to the operating system that your program has run successfully without any failure. Okay, so that is the indication. But other than this function, main function, so any value we are returning from the function, so that value will be returned to the program only. Okay, so here actually you can see this function we called result equal to add this path, two parameter we passed in this variable call, and this value x value and global var value will be passed into this function as a and b. Okay, suppose x here x equal to 5 and global value equal to 10. Okay, so that now a become 5 and b become 10.
10. Yes.
Okay, and this a plus return a plus b. So this 5 plus 10, 15 will be returned to this call. Okay, so this was the call, and this function will return this value, and so this will be replace this call. So this expression will become like int result equal to 15.
Okay.
Okay, so this return is happening to the program. So now the instruction will be continue from this point. So this call is complete. So 15 will be replaced and result equal to 15, and this 15 will be printed by this function. So this is the return statement which is used for the function if we want to return some value from the function to the same program. Okay, so keyword are reserved word which is used for the programming language that have some meaning. Okay, so that we cannot use it as a variable or function in this type of things because they that are reserved to perform some task. So that are called as a keyword. Variables, yeah, that is very important definition. So like variables, we basically define to store some data or to define some function. Variable is just only function, but yeah, ruling name function is a different thing. Okay, so variable is basically we use to define some label to the memory. Okay, because we want to store some data at in the memory locations in our system, but how we can remember the address of memory. Okay, so that address is basically a very long value in the integer or hexadecimal something, but that is not actually readable properly, not be remembered in the code actually. So we just assign a label to that memory address. Okay, so that variable contain the memory address, and at that memory address we store our data, and that variable is basically label which is proper readable and meaningful. So that is called as a variable, and we declare this variable. So variable means what type of data we will store, and so basically when we declare this variable we define the data type, so that required memory will be allocated for that. Okay, so suppose if we are declaring integer and the integer take 4 bytes, so one 4-byte memory block address will be allocated to this age. Okay, now this age will be pointed to this. Okay, so now this is declaration. We are declaring this variable. Now initialization. So first time when we initialize something on the variable, that is called a initialization. And at the time of declaration, we can also do the both things. So that is like a declaration as well as the initialization. This is the example for this. So there are multiple data types. Naming rules. Yeah, this is important. So in this, so naming rules, how we can define the variables, so that should contain only these 3 set of characters. Okay, letters, digit, and underscore. No additional, no extra character can be allowed for this. Okay, and also the that start should be happen from letter or underscore. So number we cannot use to start. Variable names are case sensitive, so that means if you can see this capital V and here this is small v, both are different. Okay, the character are same, but upper and lower case that will be make different in this. C has reserved keyword that cannot be used as variable name, so that some keyword we cannot use, that we have already discussed. So this naming is also applied on any user functions, that declaration like a structure name or like function name, any things which user defined actually. Okay, so that this rule naming is also, this ruling is also worked on that. So data type is the next. So we generally use this data type to store the different type of data. So integer that contains 4 byte, okay, float, okay, decimal value, double decimal value with more precision, okay, with more decimal points, okay, more accurate. Character is basically store a integer value that is a single character, but that is stored like as a ASCII integer value for this. Okay, so this is the smallest. Sometimes we also said that this is the smallest integer unit. So that is only 1 byte actually. Okay, but that is used for representing a character. So one character in single quote. Bool value, this is basically we not used too much, so that is true or false, but basically we used like as a 1 and 0 only. So 1 is represent true, basically 0 is represent a false, other than 0 any value is represent as a true. Okay, so that is a like, and this true and false basically written by some conditional statement always. So if we are checking something, we are comparing with that thing, that will be written something either 0 or 1. So that is the bool value. Uh, so void is represent a absence of value. So that means there is no value. We want to like return something. So you can see, suppose we have created this function, and this function is defined as a return type void. So that means this function will not return anything. Okay, so that return statement is not there here. So because of that, return type is void, absence of value. So that is the one additional value basically. And custom data type, so that we have discussed in week 8. So this is struct, enum, type, def, that thing is we can define. So that data type. So all data types contains the data. So we can also define what type of form we can store the data. Like suppose in group manner we can store the data. So that is some user defined data, or we call it as a custom data type. So that we have already discussed in week 8. And some modifier is also there in the data type, so that we want to increase or decrease the size of the same data, which we have already seen. Now sort is some sort form of the integer, like 2 byte only. So we can store the data like in sort int. Okay, long, we can increase the size, okay, of integer, so that we can write long int, say signed and unsigned value. So that is like change the type of integer, so that we contain only positive value or maybe negative also. So that is similarly cost. Okay, so cost is make as a constant value, any parameter. So these are some modifiers, so that change the behavior of the like data type, normal data types. And next thing is the operators. So operators are mainly the operators which you have already used in the maths. So that is like addition, subtraction, division. This percentile is a modulo or remainder we call as a. So if we divide any number by other number, so what is the remainder value? So that is this modulo function. And you can see how we use this. So similar like as a math function. So we use this type of operator, okay, with the variables or data. So relational operator, now relational means compare something. Okay, so that will be compare like both sides are equal or not equal, or first is less than second, or first is greater than second, or maybe first is less than equal to second, and maybe first is greater than equal to second. Then okay, that value. So all these are the compare operator or relational operator which return true or false bool value. Okay. So because we are comparing, so either that will be true or it will be fast. So two output is only possible for that. Logical operator, so that actually combines the condition. So suppose if you want to satisfy two condition, okay, then you want to perform some things. Both conditions should be satisfied, or maybe if you want to perform only one condition, if any one condition is true, so that your task should be done. So that is the conditional combined operator. We can say logical operator. We generally call this. So that are logical and, or, and not. Okay. So logical and means if so that combine two conditions and both should be satisfied, then only overall answer will be read true. Okay. So this is simply like A, B, and output. So that if for AND operator, suppose if we are talking about the AND operator, so that is, suppose if this is false, okay, A condition is false and this is false, output will be false, sorry, false, AND operator. And if A is false, this is true, still this is false. If this is true, this is false, still false. If both are true, then only true. Okay, so this is with the AND. And similarly, OR. So OR is basically if any condition is true, output will be true. So like, so this is false and this all will be true. Okay, and not basically return change the actually return value. So some things are, suppose we have one condition and that is returning true. Okay, now we make this as a explanation, so that we are checking, so that output will become the reverse of this, so false. Overall now will become false for this. So this change the condition output into true to false, false to true. So, and this is the operator. Assignment operator is basically simple, assign something into. So basically if we are using assign value, so that means right side value. Okay, so this is considered as a value, and this is the place. This left side is place, right side is value. So suppose if we are writing a equal to b, so the value at b position, okay, so that value, suppose if we at this 10, that 10 value is assigned to this location. Okay, so now this a location 10 will be assigned. So we just read like this. Okay, so assignment is the value of on the right side will be assigned to the left side place. So there are multiple way to write this assignment operator. So we can write like a plus equal to 10. So that is simply equivalent to a equal to a plus 10. Okay, so this is the short way of writing the expression. So all are the similar ways. So this will become a equal to a minus 10. This will become a equal to a into 10 in this way. Okay, so we can write all this condition. Okay, now increment decrement. This is the another operator. So that is simply we can write a like plus plus. Okay, so that is means a equal to a plus 1. So that is the increment operator by 1. And same we can write a minus minus. So that is a equal to a minus 1. So that is decrement. And pre-increment, yeah, so this pre-increment and post-increment. So that is the another concept in C. So that we have written this a plus plus a minus minus. So this operator is coming after this okay, a. So that is called as a post increment. Similarly, we can also write minus minus a plus plus a like this. So what is the difference between this pre-increment and post-increment? So that difference is like we have discussed. So x equal to 5, and we are writing y equal to plus plus 5. So this is a pre-increment. So pre-increment actually happens before uses in the expression actually. Okay, so this is like a y equal to plus plus x. So that is the assignment expression. So we have some expression, so that value should be assigned to here. But that x value will be assigned after incrementing. Okay, so that increment operation will be performed first. So according to the name pre-increment. So that pre-increment will be performed first, and then x value will be assigned to y. Okay, so x equal to 5. So 5 will become 6 here. Then 6 will be assigned to y. So x will also be modified. So x will also be changed to 6, and y will also be assigned as a 6. And suppose the same expression is written like this: x equal to 5 and y equal to x plus plus. So this is post increment. So that means this post increment will be happen after using the x in expression. Okay, so that means we will assign the first this x value, current value of x is 5. So 5 value will be assigned to y, and then increment of x will be happen. So x equal to x plus 1. Then x will become 6, but y will remain 5. So this is the difference between pre-increment and post-increment. So expression is just like a combination of all these operators, variables, and all these operands. So that is called as an expression. So precedence is also one precedence and associativity. So suppose if we are using multiple operator in one expression, so which operator will be performed first? So that is called as a precedence. Associativity, if we have the similar operator in expression, multiple operator in expression, so then what is the order of the computation of the expression? So suppose we have like a plus b minus c plus d like this. Okay, so all this comes under the same category. You can see this addition and subtraction all have the same precedence level. So that plus minus. Now what is the order of execution? So which part will be execute first? So this a plus b will be performed first, or this c will plus d will be performed first, then what will be happen? So this is called as a associativity.
Right to left, sir.
Sorry?
According to associativity.
according to the associativity. So if for these operators, the associativity rules is left to right. Okay, left to right. So that means if all operators are has the same precedence, so then left to right operation will be performed. So this will be performed first, then resulted will be performed with this, and then this will be performed with this. But there is one operator, or sometimes that unary operator is also there. This equal, actually this equal operator is associativity is right to left. Suppose if you are writing a equal to b equal to c equal to d equal to 5, so this expression is there, then this expression will execute right to left, this side. So 5 will be assigned to d first, then d become 5. So 5, this will value of d will be assigned to c, and c value will be assigned to b, and b value will be assigned to a. So order of execution of right to left. So this some operator that contains the right to left associativity. Okay, so that one example is this equal sign. Okay, otherwise we follow the precedence. So what order of operators comes here? So parenthesis is the highest precedence, then unary operator, then multiplication, like this. Okay, so you can explore this in the more this document of the C. Okay, so but this basic, some basic you should have the idea. So associativity I have discussed. So left to right associativity, that example. Input output is just like a, for when we write a program, we read some input and we return some output to the console. Okay, so basically we interact with the program at the runtime, and that interaction happen based on input and output form. So we pass some value at the runtime to the program, and that program returns something to us. So that is called as input output function. Basically this printf and scanf function is used, and other functions are also there that is more used with the other, like file and gets character string. Okay, so the gets chr, puts chr to read single character or to print single character. And some another way of the input is just like a file. So as you have seen in the Week-10, we can also read the input from the file. Okay, so we can read the file directly and we can write output to the file. So that is another way to reading the input and output to these things. So that is the part of Week-3. So this is all about the Week-3 content. So basic of the all. Now let's move to the Week-4 content. So now this is the main logic or main part of the any programming language. So every programming language contain this. Okay, like this is called as a control statements, because if we are writing some logic definitely will works on some conditional statement. If we have this condition, then this should be happen. If this is not the condition, that other should be happen. So and something like as a repetition of the same task. So suppose we want to repeat the same task too many times. So how we will do this? We cannot write the same instruction 1,000 times or like this. So how we can repeat the same task multiple times. So every programming language provides these control statements where we can control the flow of execution. Okay, so how we can control. So that is called as a control statement. Inside this two mainly comes that conditional statement and loops. Okay, and inside that we have some different function to manage actually that. So that control first is conditional statement. So if a statement basically check, it is to check the condition. Okay, so we will pass some condition, and if that condition is true, then if block will be executed, otherwise not. Okay, so that is the flow of, you can see by understand by this diagram. So if condition is true, okay, so if this condition is true, and then this block body of it will be execute. If false, then block exit. Okay, this body will not be execute. So this is the basic control flow. So that means we have written some code, but that will not be executed without checking the condition. Okay, so that is this is the condition which will actually control the flow. So if condition is true, that flow will be moved to this side, otherwise this side. So that conditional statement may be written as a single statement. Okay, if we want to write like only single condition, sometimes we have the both expression. If condition is true, so X should be happen, otherwise Y should be happen. So that statement we can combine with if else. So that is another like combination of if with else. Okay, so else is just a if condition is not true. Okay, so this is like this. So instead of exiting the block, we have the another body. Okay, so that means another set of instruction we have. Okay, if condition is true, so this set, suppose this is X and this is Y. So if true, then X, if Y, then Y block will be executed. Sometimes may have more condition, and then we want to check all condition and we want to perform based on that, so that we can say multiple block of condition. Okay, so if then else, so this way. Okay, so in between multiple else if may be come. So you can see we can write this block only with if. Okay, so this there is no problem. We can write with if and else. Okay, so with this combination, we can write if, else if, okay, like in this way, else. So this means else are optional. Okay, so this else part, you can see we are not writing else with this. So this else part is optional. So this is not required. Here also, this else if is also not, this is also optional. Okay, so not required. But if this if is always required. Without if, we cannot directly write else if or else this. So if is mandatory for this statement, and we can add else if part, and we can add else. So all these part are optional. So you can also only leave with this, but you cannot write only else part or only this else if part, or you cannot change the order like this. If else, then else if like this. Okay, so that order should be maintained. So some rules and guidelines are there to use how to use this, so that should be followed. So this is the one type of conditional statement. Another conditional statement we have in C, switch statement. So that is also one important topic for the exam. So this is also a conditional statement. We check the condition, and based on that we execute one part of the block. So, and that is flow is like this. Okay, so one expression is just pass a value. Okay, this expression will return a some values, and that value will be checked with this case. Okay, if case value is matched. Okay, suppose this expression is returning value 3 or value 2. So that value 2 will be checked with each case. Okay, so case this value is equal to this return value, no. Okay, so if this value is matched with this, yes. So it will enter inside this. Okay, flow of the execution will be enter inside this side, and remaining part will not be checked. And it will be this will be execute, and then break operation is required here. In this operation, if you want to stop the process, stop the execution only for this case value, so we have to put break statement. Otherwise, what will happen if this break statement is not there? Flow will be moved like this. Okay, so suppose case value is mentioned and this case value is matched, and from this point this statement will be executed. If break is not there, so flow will be performed like this. Okay, statement 1. If break is there, our control will be breaked. Otherwise, this will move to this side. Okay, this statement will execute at the last point. So this break is play the important role here. So that actually break the execution stop that process for any particular case. If this break is not happening, so first case value will be matched, then all value will be print. Like this example, suppose this day value is equal to 2. Now first thing is the case matching. So which value is matched? So that is not matched. Okay, so this is matched. So now execution will start from this point. Tuesday will be print. Suppose if this break is not there, so this Wednesday will also be print. If this break is not there, so this will also be print. In this way, Tuesday, Wednesday, other day, all will be print. But if break is there, so only this Tuesday will be print, and your control will be completely outside of this. So break means totally outside of this. Okay, so this is a things for the switch statement. Nested conditional.
What the break does?
Break actually stop the execution at that point, and just move out the control to the that type of conditional statement.
Okay.
Okay, so so that execution is generally execution happen instruction. Suppose instruction one is written I1, I2, I3 like this. So instruction is executing top to down manner. Okay, but how we can just break and just skip some part. So that is the break actually function. So if break is occurred, this is execute. So that means the remaining part of this will not be executed, and your flow of the control will be directly come out of this switch. Okay,
Yes, sir.
what is written outside of this switch that will start to execution. And same we can also use for inside the for loop. So we can stop the iterations at any point. Okay, so that the work of the break. So break is just like a stop the execution at that point. But that is stopped only for that particular like loop or conditional statement, not the complete code actually. Okay, so that
Okay,
is
sir.
not the hmm. So that nested thing is the things when we used one condition inside the another condition. So that is just like a nested things. So if conditional statement is given, inside this another if conditional statement is this. So this is called as a nested condition. So this is written like if this is true, then we only check these conditions. If this is not true, so you will directly print this. Okay. So this is also a possibility of the logic. So that nested possibility is also there in the conditional statement. So that is called as a nested things. And then next another control statement is loop. So we have two type of loops here. So for loop is there. So for loop structure is like this. So first we set some loop variable. Okay, so that loop variable we define. Suppose we are defining I equal to 0. So that is called as initialization. This first step. Now second thing is conditional statement for the loop. Okay, so every time when we want to enter into the loop, this condition will be checked. Okay, if this is true, then we will enter inside the for loop body and we will execute all the statements. Then we will update our variable. Okay, so loop variable we will update, and that updation is happening to uh, stop this iteration process. Otherwise, this loop will not be stopped. So this condition is set like this. So we set start with some value, and after some number of iteration, our this condition should be okay. This condition should be false. In this way, our variable should be update. So this may be increment, this may be decrement, or you can update in any way. But after some number of iteration is required, this condition should be become false, and our iteration should be stopped actually. Loop should be terminate. So this is like this. So you can see the state syntax of the first step is initialization that execute only one time. Condition checks always. Each iteration this condition will be checked, and after execution all body part, then this update will be happen. This one. Okay. So this is like first entry point, and then that condition, and then enter inside. And after that, repeat that point, and then again check condition. So this becomes a cycle now. So this is only one time, but now this is a loop. Condition check, then enter. If condition is to enter inside the body, execute all the part, and then update this variable. So this is a flow. So you can see this is the example. So I is set to 1. So this is the one time initialization. Now this I value will be checked 1 less than equal to 5. Okay, so this is true. Now print this. So 5 will be print. I will be print actually. So 1 will be print. Now after printing this I will be increment. So I will become I plus 1. So that is 2. Then again check 2 is less than equal to 5. Yes. Again this will print 2. Okay. Then again thing it will be increment 3. 3 is still less than 5. Again print. Okay. Then it will become 4. 4 is still less than 5. Yes. Again 5. 5 is still less than 5. Okay. Then it will become 6. Now 6 is not less than equal to 5. So this become a false. At that time, your control will become out of this loop. Okay, this loop will terminate, and your control will become here. during this is happened. So same type of operation is repeated multiple time based on this conditions or initialization. So this is a loop meanings, and now we can repeat any specific task with using this loop. Now another type of loop is while. So for loop is basically when you already know how many times you want to repeat the same things initially, so that you can use. While is the basically the while can also perform the same thing, but that is sometimes used when you don't know how many iterations are actually required to execute, how many iterations are required to execute, and that is depends on some condition. Okay, so initially you don't know how many iterations will be there, but that is based on the condition, and so that we use the while loop. Okay, so while is the same thing. So here initialization we can do at the outside of the while loop, but after that same things we are doing. Condition we are checking. Statement we are performing. Inside the statement we are updating the while variable, and we are iterating. Again we are checking the condition. Again same thing, updating the variable, and then at any point when our condition will not satisfied, then our while loop will terminate. So this is the example. This is the expression. You can see. So initialization happened before the while loop, but after that we are checking the condition, printing this, and incrementation is happening inside the state body. Okay, and that is also required because after some number of times, so that should be false to break. Okay, so this is the loop, and infinite loop you can see avoid this. So sometimes suppose if you have written the while equal to 1, and so 1 means true, that means true. This loop will always this while condition will always be true, and this loop will run infinite time. So sometime this type of condition may be there. So do while loop is the another thing. So while loop actually to perform statement, first condition will be checked, then statement will be performed. Okay, but do while loop at least one time this statement will be performed first without checking the condition, and then condition will be checked after that this statement. So at least one time this statement will be performed without checking. So this is do while loop. Okay, so first we are performing something, then we are checking condition. If this condition is true, again we will repeat the same. So this is the only change, the do while loop. Okay, so nested loop the same thing. So that loop inside loop, that is called a nested loop. So you have seen inside the 2D array or matrix type of operation where we use this type of thing. Okay, so this is nested. Yeah, these are some common like function, so that actually handle some that or control. So this is break. Actually break is used to stop the process, as we have mentioned. So you can see, suppose if we are iterating this 1 to 10 times loop is running. So at any point we are also checking, each time we are checking this condition. At any point if this condition is met, so I equal to become 5, so this break will be executed and this loop will terminate. Okay, so that means this loop will, when I become 5, this loop will terminate. So that print will only happen 1 2 3 4, and at the time of 5 this will break. That means the remaining part will also not execute, and also iteration will also be stopped. This break will stop the loop also, which is the nearest loop. Okay, so suppose this is also running inside the another outer loop, so only the closure loop will be terminated by this. Okay, so this loop will be terminated at this point, so only this 4 value will be print by this. Okay, so we can break the loop using the break. Continue statement is actually skip the remaining execution, and it move to the next iteration. So like this loop is running 1 to 10. Okay, every time I is incrementing by 1, but if I is divided by 2, okay, then we are not printing that. Okay, so continue means our control will directly move to the next iteration of this without remaining execution. Okay, it will not break, it will actually skip the remaining part of the code inside the loop. Okay, so I equal to 1, that is fine, this will be print. So 1 will be print. when I will be 2, so this will be execute actually. So now this without printing, this directly jump to the next iteration. So I equal to 3. 3 will be print. So this is just skip the remaining part, okay, and directly move to iteration. Continue. Go to statement is the different things. This is also like a conditional statement thing. If any condition is satisfied, or at any point, we can define some point in our code, or like this. This is the line start. This is just like as a defined thing. So we have defined a point of the instruction. At any point, we can directly jump to at that point using this go to start. Okay, so we are performing something, but that we can directly jump to this point again, and this execution will start from this point. So that can be actually this is not too much used now. So that can be happen using if else or loop in any way. Okay, so go to is not too much used. So that is also a one. Control statement, yeah, writing formats are different things. So how we can write this, we can write, so single statement we can write without the open curly bracket and close curly bracket, okay, like this. But multiple statement always write with this open and curly brackets. So this is the just style, multi-line styles. Okay, so this is just a formatting. So this is week 4, and week 5 are mainly the function. Okay, function and recursion. So recursion is the concept of function. So that is the difference. First should be about the function thing. So function is just like a block of code, and we assign some name of that block of code, and that block can be executed from at any point of the program. We can simply we will write that block at only one time, but we can run that block at multiple time from at any point of the code. So that why function is there. So function thing is, suppose if any specific task is executing multiple time in the code as per the requirement. So what we can do, instead of writing multiple time the same code, we can define inside a block, and we can assign some name of that block. At any point, if it is required, that block execution is required, we can simply call by name, and block will be executed and will return something. Okay, so no need to write the same code again and again. So that is the main idea of this. So, and what is the why function? So that actually increase the reusability of the code. So we write only one, but use multiple times in the code. And also, if we write our code into the function like function way, we define the function for each type of task. That is actually proper modular way, and that is proper readable also. So we can understand that which of the code is what is that part is doing actually in the code. So that is properly meaningful and proper readable, also manually. Suppose if you want to change something in that function block, okay, so that we can do only at one point. If the same code we write at the multiple place in our program, so that change we have to done at the each point if you want to change something. So that are some advantage of the function, and that improve the function that code readability or code maintainability. So some functions are is that library standard library functions, so which we are using printf, scanf, malloc, free, all these things. And some function we can so this is standard library function. Some external library we also connect include in our code, like math library, so that function we can call. Some are user defined functions, so that we actually write for our program, and we have any name, we can define any logic for that. This is the initial are all predefined. So user defined function, so same this is the syntax for function. We have to define the return type. So what function will return, what type of value it will return. It will, if it is not returning anything, so simply write void. This is function name. You can give any name like as a variable, and you have to define inside the open bracket and close bracket. So this is the prototype of this function. So you have to define input parameters for the function if it is there. Okay, so what actually input that is reading taking. Okay, so when we will call the function, so if we are passing some value inside that function or not. So we have to define that parameter if that is there. So what type of value we are passing, and after passing that value will be stored in which variable, that will be the name of that variable. So that we define actually. So type and name of the parameter, type 2 and name of the parameter 2, like this. We can define any number of variables. And inside that function, we can write a simple set of statements. And if we any specific return type is defined, so that value we have to return. That type of value we have to return from the function. So that is the meaning. So you can see by this code. So here add function is there. So add is declared here at the top. Add is declared at this point. Add is called at this point and defined at this point. Okay. So this is a function call. This is argument. So 5 and 3 is just called as an argument. This value is passed at the at call time, and that value is assigned in the definition. So a equal to 5 and b equal to 3. Now we will use this for our expression. So a plus b and return something. So if we have defined this function as a return type int, so integer value should be returned from this function. So that value will be replace the call. Okay, so that is the meaning of this. If we are not returning anything, so that value that will not return anything. At the time, there is no need to assign like this. Okay, so we can simply call. So this is the idea of the function. So how we can pass the parameter to the function? So that is one call by value. We can directly pass the value either in the variable or maybe direct value, or call by reference. So we can pass also address of the memory that contains the data. So that is called as a call by reference. So call by value is simple like this. So we have defined num equal to 5 and we are passing num variable. So that is just like a 5. Or we can instead write only 5 here. Both are called as a call by value. But if we pass a address of this num, so that become a call by reference. Now we are not passing value, we are passing the memory address. And to store this memory address, we have to define a pointer here. So that pointer will contain the address of memory. Okay, that contain actually this data file. But this is like a address. And recursion of the function is the one concept writing the code. That is just like a when the same function inside from the same function body, we are calling the same function again. Okay, so that is the way when function call itself. So that is just like a definition of a recursion. So here you can see this is a one function factorial, but inside the definition of this function, we are calling the same function factorial. Okay, so this is the same. So that is the recursion. So reoccur. So the same things reoccur again. So as we call the function from at any point, so like we are passing in factorial num, so that is the first call. But inside this call will happen again. Okay, so this call is happen like this. Suppose we are just writing f5. Okay, so f5 is called first time. And for every recursion concept, there are two cases: base case and recursive case. This is the requirement of the recursive function. Base case when our recursion will not be happen and our recursion will be stopped actually. Recursive case when we are recursively again. Okay, so that is the part we are calling recursively again. But this part is actually stop the process. Okay, so our recursion call, so this recursion value should be moved in this way. So that should be reached to the base case after some time. Otherwise, this recursion will also be performed like as an infinite recursion call. So f5 is there. So this 5 is not matching this, not met with this base case. So again, inside this, f4 will be called. Okay. So again, f4 is the new call. So this is like a new function from this point. Okay, and this is like a return 5 into like this. Okay, so new call is there, again the new function, and again this is not matching the base case, so return 4 into f3. Okay, so in this way this is executing actually. F3 again, base case is not met, so return 3 into F2. Okay, so same F2. Now again 2 into F1. Now 1 is matched with the base case, so directly this function will return 1. Okay, so when we will again call F1, so that will directly return 1. Okay, without calling again. So this 1 will be returned here, so it will be replaced. Okay, so 1 into 2, 2. Now 2 will be returned to this call. Okay, so this will replace by 2. 2 into 3, 6. So total 6 will be written at this part. Sorry, this part. 6 into 4, 24. 24 will be replace this. And 24 into 5, 120. This will be returned to this main call, this 120. Okay, and that will be the answer. So this is just like a logical way to understand the concept of recursion call. So from the same body, we call the new function, okay, with the same name. That is called as a recursion. So this is the base case recursion case. Yeah, it use the stack memory concept because we are moving from at one point. Okay, so this location will be stored inside the stack. Stack is just a concept of last in first out. Okay, so we are just coming from this point and we will only move to this point. Okay, so there is only one side of insertion and deletion. We cannot suppose if any, just like a disk case. Okay, suppose if you know the disk case, so CD or this, if you know, so we can only put the CD from this rod from the top and we can remove from the top only this side. Okay, there is no another way to remove. So the CD will that will insert at the last will remove first. That is the concept of the stack actually. So that memory structure is used to store the data because at this point F4, so that location will be stored in this stack. So F4. Now from this function F3 actually called. Okay, so this like 5 into F4, like 4 into F3, like so. In this way, these call are coming. So 3 into F2, and this stack is like become okay. So when our function will complete, so that will return at the same place. So what is the data at this point? So F2 value it will reach. So that value will come here, and that value will be returned to this point. Okay. So that is a different idea of this to understand the stack memory structure. So how internally this call that function call data is stored at some point and it will call a new function. So that is the stack actually implemented. So types of return is recursion is direct recursion and indirect. So direct is just simple. We have the one function that is calling itself. Indirect is when one function is calling another function, another function is calling the same first function. So like int even odd. So even function is calling odd and odd is calling even. So that is like simply A and B and simple. So inside the A we are calling B. Okay. And from B we are calling A. So that is happening like this.
Sir,
So
uh,
sorry.
that CD concept example for what function or recursion?
That stack you are saying?
Yes, sir.
So stack is basically a data structure. Okay, and that data structure store the data and remove the data from any one point only. Okay,
Okay.
so suppose you have one memory, okay, that contain multiple data. Okay, and suppose this is the location like array, just understand by the array 0, 1, 3, 4, 5. But there is some strict rule on this. We can always store the data from the back side and we can only remove the data from the back side like this.
Yes.
Okay. So suppose we insert the first data like 10 here. Now next data we want to insert, that will be insert after this 20. And next data like 30 we want to insert here. But this is the insert operation is happening at the end. Now if we want to delete something means if you want to delete one element from this, so that will only be removed from the last. Which element is inserted at the last, that will only be removed. So this is a strict rule with this data structure. You cannot, if suppose if you have these three data and this is the last inserted 30, you cannot delete this one. You cannot delete this one. First you have to delete 30, then you can delete 20, then you can delete 10. So this is the strict condition with the data structure. That is called as a stack.
Stack.
And
Okay.
this, because of that, I mentioned the example of this CD case. Okay, so CD case, there is one side is only open rod, and this is just a one base. Okay, now you can only put CD from this side. Okay, in this rod. So first CD will come at this base, second CD will come at the top of this, third CD will come at the top, and 4 CD will come up at the top. Okay. Now, if you want to
And
one CD, if you want to remove the CD, so that only top CD you can remove. You cannot
okay.
directly remove this middle CD or this CD.
To remove a last, we had to remove first one by one all.
That if you want to remove this one, so first you have to remove this one, then this one, then this one, then you will reach at this one.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so this is the idea of the stack data structure. So that is one type of data structure which is not covered in your syllabus, but that concept is used in this recursion concept internally. Okay,
Okay, sir.
so because of that, we mentioned that that is stored inside the stack memory. Stack. Okay. So, but do not because this is totally outside of the your content. This is comes under the data structure course. And similarly, we have one type of data structure queue. So queue is just like a like line. So suppose this is the window of the ticket, okay, and first person comes first, and that is placed at the first place, then second, then third, then fourth, then fifth. So this is the queue. Okay, those who are coming first that will stand in the line first, and when who will get the ticket first? Those who come first. Okay, so this is just like a first in first out.
जो
So
पहले
so
जाएगा वही
this
पहले
first
आएगा.
this first one will get ticket first and will move out. So here the insertion will be happen on this side, deletion should be happen from this side. Okay, so this concept is called as a queue data structure. So this is totally outside of your course. Okay, but you should know the basic idea of this. So stack is last in first out. Okay, last in first out, and queue is just first in first out. This is the basic concept.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, scope in C programming. So this is just like a scope means if we have defined something at some point, where from we can access that thing, that variables or that function. So the where that actually variable can be, where from that variable can be accessed, so that things can be defined under the scope category. So local scope means if any variable which is defined inside in any function that can be only accessed from that function, okay, or maybe block. So like variable for local function, this is the local scope example. So if this variable is defined inside this function, so that cannot be accessed outside of this function. Okay, so only that can be accessed here. That cannot be accessed outside of this. So that means local variable have the local scope only for this function, that can be accessed inside only this function. Block scope. So suppose if any variable you are writing conditional statement, and inside the conditional statement, inside this body you have defined a new variable inside this. Okay, so that also has the block scope, means that can only be accessed inside this brackets. You cannot access this y variable outside of this brackets in your program, because that has only the local scope for this block. Okay, so that is called as a block scope. Okay, and global is this int x equal to 5. This is local for this main function, but this y int y equal to 10. This is local for this block only. It can be only accessed for block, not outside of this block. And global scope is that can be accessed, that is defined outside of any function, and that can be accessed by any function. Okay, in your code. So that is global scope. Block scope, local and global. So like this variable global, that can be accessed in main function, and if you define any other function, that you can also access this global variable. So that is called as the global scope. Okay, so this is the main content of week 5. So let's see the questions now. So first question. Okay, tell me the answer. So how it, yeah, so this is based on the scope actually. You can see first question is based on the scope. So you can see int a equal to 10. This is the first line we have defined this. Inside this brackets, we have defined it that time a. Okay, so this is another variable int a int a. So scope for the second a is only in this block, not outside of this. But outside scope is totally, you can also access from inside of this block and as well as the outside of this block, but in only main function. So because this is just like overlapping, so we have a equal to 10, but again we have declared this inside the block, so a equal to 30. So inside this block, that this a we are printing, so that is referring to inner this a. Okay, if we not declare this, so that will refer to this outer one, but it is again declared, so this will only now become a local for this block. So first thing 30 will be print. Okay, now the outside print statement will print the that outer one, this a equal to 10. So 30 and 10. So this should be print. So value of a is 30 and value of a is 10. So that should be the output. So like this second option. Now you can see this state, these things we have discussed now. So this is like a case switch case, and this is pre-increment. Okay. So pre-increment is just like a, before using this expression, we will first increment the value, then we will perform. So what is happening? A equal to 2. Now 2 will increment first. So a will become 3. And now case will be matched. So just check which case is matching this with this value. So 3 cases matching. So this is not matching, this is not matching, this is matched. Okay. So now we will enter inside this and we'll perform this expression. So now a equal to 3 into 4. This expression is there. So now it will become 12. But there is no break statement. So that execution will move to next expression. So again, a equal to a 12. Now this value is updated to 12 divided by 2. So this will become 6. Now again, no break is there. So that next expression will execute. So a equal to a, so 6 into 6. Okay. So 36. So 36 should be the answer for this. Okay, so finally, what is the a value? That is 36. So that will become answer.
हमें कैसे पता चला सर कि यही स्टेटमेंट करेक्ट है केस नंबर 3 वाला?
Because what we are passing through the switch value, so that case is matched actually. So this value, na, so this value is matched by this expression. So what value is coming from this expression? So this is just a expression a equal to 2, and this is pre-increment of
Pre-increment,
so
yes,
that,
sir.
so a become 3.
3.
So now what value is coming from this expression? So that should be matched with the case value number.
This number, okay.
Okay, so 3 is matched with this 3, na? So then execution will start from this point. Okay, but if suppose a break is there, okay, so break is there, then only this expression will execute, remaining will not be executed. But if break is not there, so this movement will be happen like this. Okay, so this is the meaning of break. Second, which of the following statement is true regarding function in C? Okay, so a function is a block of code which is only executed when it is invoked. Okay, so that is true, because when we call the function, then that only execute. A function can invoke multiple times in a same program, so that is also true, because we can call multiple times at any function. A function cannot accept more than two parameters, so there is no this type of restriction on the function. You can pass any number of parameters. Okay, so this is not true. And a function cannot call itself. This is also not true because we have seen the recursion concept. So that is okay. So first and second is option is only correct for this about the function. Now next is what will be the output of the above code. So here again, the function is there. So that function. So let's check the main function first. So main function a equal to 5, b equal to 3. Now function a, this is function is called. Okay, so with this value a and 3. So now this a equal to 5 and b equal to 3. Now what you are doing, so just name are same. A and b are the local variable for this main function, and here this a and b are local for this function. Okay, so what we are doing, we are using this variable now. This new a and this b are contained this 5 and 3, and this is swapping is happening. Okay, but this swapping is happening only the local variable for a and b for this function. Okay, so now a become 3 and b become 5, but these ab are the variable which is defined for this function only. Okay, and now what we are doing, we are printing a and b in the main function. So this a and b are referring the variable which is the local variable for this main function, not this one. Okay, so because that is local for fun, but these are local for main. So if any change is happening, the a and b inside the fun function, so that is only local for that function. That will not reflect in the main function. So this 5 and 3 will remain same. Okay, so this swapping is not happening. Means in the main function. That is only happening locally for the fun function. So answer will be 5 and 3 for this. But if suppose if we pass pointer, okay, so that question may be also asked. Suppose if we pass address of A and address of B and use pointer here, some okay, and then if we will perform swapping in the pointers, then that will be reflect here. Okay, because pointer is just a memory location we are passing, and we are changing the value at memory location, so that will also be reflect in the main function. But variable case that will not reflect. Okay, so that will remain same. And this is function compute and return the factorial of the given positive integer. Okay, so factorial, this is the different type of that code for the same purpose. So factorial, which one is calculate the correct factorial? So you know that 5, suppose if factorial of 5 should be 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. That should be the operation. So you can see res equal to 1, while num we are passing, suppose we are passing 5. So 5 is greater than 0. Okay. Then result should be result multiply by num and decrement this. Okay. So this is correctly calculating. Okay, so 5. If suppose if you are studying 5, so 5 is greater than 0, and then res become 1 into 5. Okay. Now we are degrading num by 1. Okay, so again this loop will run, so that will become 4, then 3, then 2, and that 1. And then it will be break because this is only true if it is greater than 0. So our output will be correct. So this is okay. This next variable, because this here we are not this decrementing this num value. Okay, so this is just like an infinite loop. That is incorrect. And these two loops, so one we have already seen, the recursive function. So if this is the base case, if num equal to 0, return 1, otherwise call this. Okay, this is looking fine. Yeah, this is incorrect because if num equal to 0, we are returning 0. So what will happen actually? 5 into 4 into 2, 3 into 2 into 1. And in the case of 0, 0 will be also multiplied with this. Okay, by this. So overall our output will become 0. So that will become incorrect answer. So that is incorrect. So option A and option C is correct. And okay, in C, which of the following are valid operation on pointer variables? Okay, so this is the next week concept. So week 6, okay, week 6, 7, and 8 we will cover in the next Tuesday session. So unrelated mock question will also be covered. So till week 3 to 5, if you have any query or if you have any question, you can ask.
Sir, can you please explain the how can we write the program for factorials?
Factorial code.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's in the one file. So writing will be the same. So let me just. You want to recursive or iterative? We
Recursive,
can
sir.
write in recursive, na? So let's. We will start with the main function. And main. Okay. So suppose we want to write a recursive function. So let's we define like int n equal to some value, suppose 5. And from this function, we want to call the function, or we can simply write like parent f %d and call, and we are calling the function from like fun here. So fun, we will create a new function that will return the output, and that value we are passing from this print statement, and that will return and will print from this output. Now how we will write the that recursive function, so that we will declare outside of this main. So just define int, because we will return an integer answer, okay, from this factorial. So that is type of function and function name fun, and that will take some value. So int, suppose that is taking n. Okay, that n is local for this, or you can take any another thing d. So so this is another function we are writing recursively. So recursively function means we have to define base case and recursive case, and each recursive call, we will call the current value of d, and we will call the next function call by reducing one value. Okay, so that means we want to compute like 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1 in this way,
Yes,
but
sir.
using recursive. So that recursive part we will define like this. So return our d multiply with, okay, now new function, so fun function, but now we will pass one less value, so d minus 1. Okay, so this is the recursive part, but at the point when we are decreasing at every time, so okay, so d equal to 5 initially, so 5, now we are passing fun 4. Now again the same function, d become 4, so that will become 3. So in this way it is reducing, but when we will reach at the 0, so we should return 1 and should stop.
Yes.
We 0 should not be written for the multiplication, otherwise our overall multiplication will become 0. So what condition we can make as a base case? So if our d is now equal to 0, so at that time we will return 1. So this return, when this return is comes, so when this return is performed, at that time function is actually stopped. That execution is stopped at that point. Okay. So the next part will not be executed. This when this return statement is actually stopped or performed. So what is happening now? You can see we are passing 5. Now 5 will come in this. So 5 is not matched with 0. So this part will not be executed. And this return d into, so d equal to 5. 5 multiplication. Now this is a new function call. So first this new function will be performed, then only return will be happen. So this is just like a expression, but still some expression is not completely solved. Okay, this is a new function call. That is now fun 4. Okay, again we will call it the same thing, return 4 into fun 3. Then same things, 3 into return like return 3 into fun 2. So in this way this function will be called, and when it will reach to 0, at that time it will return 1.
1, yes.
Okay, then it will not move to this part when it will become 0. So in that case our return will be happen at every point, and we will get a result. So when we call this, you can see we are getting 120. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So in this way, recursive function can be written. So same thing, suppose if you want to sum like value from 10 to 1. So what operation you can do, like suppose you can simply like plus operation. Now we want to perform some operation from 10 to 1 recursively. So same thing you can do like this. So on this is 5 plus 4 plus this is some operation of 5 to 1. Okay, suppose if you want to 10 to 1, so just 10 pass and this will get to 56. Is this correct? Oh no, no, not correct. Okay, so some case we can return 0 because sum will not affect overall. Yeah, this is 555. Okay, so this is the recursive function to sum from 10 to recursive. Okay, in this way we
Yes.
can write. So this is the way to write recursive function.
सर
Okay.
मैं बिगिनर हूँ तो मुझे ये ऑनलाइन जीडीबी बेस्ड रहेगा क्या सर इसके लिए कंपाइलेशन के लिए
हाँ,
कंपाइलेशन के लिए
कोई भी एडिटर यूज कर सकते हो जिसमें तुम कंफर्टेबल भी, मतलब मेनली कोडिंग पे फोकस करो ना कि लाइक एडिटर पे। ओके, सो इसीलिए इसमें मतलब हमने कोर्स में ऑनलाइन एडिटर भी रिफर किया है। इंस्टॉल एनी पर्टिकुलर लोकल एडिटर, देयर आर लॉट्स ऑफ ऑनलाइन एडिटर आर अवेलेबल। सो कोई भी यूज कर सकते हो जिसमें कंफर्टेबल है, इसमें कुछ नहीं है, बस लैंग्वेज सेलेक्ट करो और प्रोग्राम लिखो और रन करो। बस
हाँ,
अभी तुम्हें
नहीं
लॉजिक लिखना सीखना चाहिए कोडिंग के लिए।
सर मैं वीएस कोड के बीच में मेरा बहुत टाइम वेस्ट हो गया, मैं बार-बार उसको सेटअप करता हूँ, कुछ एरर
हाँ, तो
आता
वो
है,
चीज,
उस
तो वही तो
में
मैं कह
फिर
रहा हूँ, अपना प्रोग्रामिंग सीखने की जगह पे तुम अपना टूल्स उसका जो सॉफ्टवेयर है उसमें टाइम वेस्ट कर रहे हो।
बहुत दिन
पहले
लग गए सर।
कोडिंग सीख, हाँ पहले कोडिंग सीख लो, फिर बाद में इन टूल्स के साथ अपना एक्सपेरिमेंट कर लो आराम से।
ओके,
ओके, सो ऑनलाइन एडिटर अवेलेबल है, सब कुछ कर सकते हो उनके साथ, और कोई इंस्टॉलेशन या कोई प्री रिक्विजिट नहीं है उनके लिए, बस ब्राउजर होना चाहिए और नेट होना चाहिए।
यस।
करो। ओके,
सर मुझे पूछना था, अगर मेरे ओपीपी दोनों खराब गए हैं और मेरा क्विज 1 में अच्छा स्कोर है, तो क्या मैं एलिजिबल हूँ नेक्स्ट टर्म के लिए या नहीं?
ओपीपी खराब जाने का मीन्स क्लियर नहीं हुआ।
लगता है मुझे नहीं होगा सर, क्योंकि फर्स्ट वाला तो गया, इस बार का मेरा एक भी टेस्ट पास नहीं हुआ।
अगर किसी भी ओपीपी में 40 मार्क्स नहीं आए तो तुम्हें ये इस कोर्स, इसका मतलब सी कोर्स कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ, तो मैं दोबारा से ओपीपी एग्जाम देना पड़ेगा अगर तुम्हारे 40 से अबव मार्क्स आ गए हैं फिर भी। ओ,
सिर्फ ओपीपी देना पड़ेगा या पूरा फिर सी प्रोग्रामिंग का कोर्स ही करना पड़ेगा?
नहीं, अगर तुम्हारा ग्रेड जो ओवरऑल बन रहा है वो 40 से अबव बनना है,
सर पूरा
सिर्फ
क्विज
ओपीपी
का
रिपीट
और
करना पड़ेगा।
अपना मिला के
हाँ,
पूरा
और
क्विज
सभी का
1।
मिला के, हाँ सभी का मिला के पूरा कोर्स का स्कोर जो है अगर वो 40 से ऊपर बनना है तो तुम्हें फिर प्रोग्रामिंग एग्जाम रिपीट करना पड़ेगा। ओके,
सिर्फ
अगर
प्रोग्रामिंग।
वो नीचे लो, हाँ अगर वो नीचे है उससे, तो फिर तुम्हें पूरा कोर्स रिपीट करना पड़ेगा।
ओके, तो
ओके,
वही मेरा मतलब बहुत ज्यादा टाइम वेस्ट हो गया, वो वीएस कोड ये वो उसके पीछे नहीं क्या
नहीं
सेटअप
इन
नहीं हो
पे
रहा था
नहीं
अभी।
जाना,
हाँ।
वही चीज तो अपना कोडिंग पे प्रोग्रामिंग पे ध्यान दो, बोले उस टूल्स पे अभी मत दो, बाद में जब प्रोग्रामिंग सीख जाओ तो अपने टूल्स भी एक्सपेरिमेंट कर लेना।
ओके सर।
यस, सैयद, यू आल्सो रेज द हैंड।
Sir, I have a question in the online GDP week 9 practice question number 3. I just wrote the code, but the output, the question what is not coming. But when I run in the other compiler, it shows the correct code and output.
My
So
coding,
can you just see my code and tell me if there is any problem?
हाँ शो मी।
Is this visible?
यस,
Yeah. So this is the code
ओके,
for the
सम
week
ऑफ
9 problem.
एलिमेंट्स इन 2D मैट्रिक्स प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट।
Yeah.
ओके, तो क्या किया तुमने?
एक्चुअली बीच वाला एक्सक्लूड करके मैंने रोज कॉर्नर्स वालों का सम करा है, पर जैसे कि ये एग्जांपल ले लेते हैं, ये इसमें
Hmm.
44 दिख रहा है, और यही अगर मैं VS कोड में या दूसरे कंपाइलर में रन करता हूँ,
Means that code are running on online GDB but not running here. You are saying that?
नो, ऑनलाइन जीडीपी पे वो आंसर गलत शो कर रहा है, एंड बाकी कंपाइलर पे सब में 40 शो कर रहा है जब सेम कोड रन कर रहा हूँ।
Acha, okay, okay. One
तो
second. Show me the online GDB code. So answer, correct answer should be 40. Okay, okay.
या एंड इट्स शोइंग
Just,
44।
just take me a look. So scan part is done. So I equal to 0 to less than row, 0 to column, J is fine, J okay, D, A, and I, J. First loop is fine. Second loop is, uh, okay, what logic you are using? So first for loop, you are using, so that J, if J, okay. So J equal to 0, J equal to call, and J plus plus. And inside this J loop, sum equal to 0. Okay, so 0 means, and if row is greater than equal to 2. Oh, you have written only your code for this specific input, I think. That is not the correct way.
No, no. If I run any of the output, any of the input which is in the test case, it's just showing wrong answer in the GDP.
No, any another type of size you passed this code?
Ah, yes.
Can you just type 5 into 5 by 5?
5 by 5.
On your VS code or in any place. Just pass the value 5 by 5 and just pass 1 1 1 1 like this. Okay, you will
Okay.
see. 5. Enter 5 times the same things again.
Sorry.
I think one escape. Sum plus a 0 equal to j, so j 0 1 2 3. Okay. So what your answer is coming? Like 1 2 3 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16. Okay, 1 second. Let's see. So sum plus equal to a0j. Then if row is greater than equal to 2, then j. Can you show me code again? Very small actually. Sum plus a row minus 1j. Okay, can you explain what you did actually in the second for loop which you have written?
This one.
This one.
Actually, I just count the number, the sum of first row,
Okay, so here
excluding the
j
second
you
one.
are using row. Okay, so but
I just count the corners one, like like this one,
so
in that
suppose
format.
j equal to 0, that is fine. Okay, so you are using this j and as a row.
Hmm.
Then why you took this is less than equal to call?
It is like a note is here. You may assume row is less than.
No. I am saying that in the second loop for int j equal to 0, line number 12 in this.
Okay.
Okay, so j loop you are using as a row. Oh no, you are using as a column. J you are passing as a column. Okay, then fine. So then you are passing as a fine. So 0th row and okay, you read as a first corner element. Okay, then if row is greater than equal to 2, So you start, okay, this if row is greater than equal to 2, then, oh my god, okay, greater than 2, then sum is plus equal to a row minus 1, comma j. Row minus 1 becomes j. This is very logical. Row minus,
Shall I
suppose,
send you the code in the chat?
no, I'm just looking for to understand actually this conditional statement.
Okay.
If row is greater than 2, then sum plus equal to row minus 1 to this iteration. So if j, and this is not depend on j now. So why you take this if condition? I'm not understanding this actually. If row
That one.
ever one, if row is greater than equal to 2, why you took this?
Actually, in the note, it just says assume that you can row is greater than equal to 2. Before that, I just using row is greater than 1.
Okay. That is assume the size actually. So okay, row minus 1. So last index in j. Okay, I'm getting your point. So this is just like a first column j. Okay, so j zero row and all first row value add. Okay, and at the same time row minus 1. So if that j is greater than 2, last row you copied. Okay, now comes to the next for loop. So I equal to 0, 0 minus 1, and I plus plus. Sum plus I, okay, then fine. So here I think instead of I equal to, because you need to copy only middle value. Actually, I think what is happening, it is adding like this. So 1, 2, 3, and 7, 8, 9 you have copied. Okay,
Hmm.
already summed. But in the next for loop, you are again adding this 1 and 4 and 3 and 6. So just make the second loop for int I equal to 1, not the 0.
This one?
Huh. You test, because that value you have already read in the row,
Yeah,
first row and last row. That again should not be
yeah. That's working.
now it is coming. And show me your VS code. I think, show me your VS code.
One minute.
Huh. So you can see in your VS code it is correct.
Yeah, yeah, I
It is
just
starting from 1.
make the one mistake. Sorry.
Okay, the code are different, no? So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's just a mistake of one. Okay, so thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. Any other query, anyone? Okay. Then no query. Then we are closing the session. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.